Hello guys, welcome back to another election prediction. This time we have former Vice President Al Gore, who nearly won the 2000 election. It came down to the wire in the state of Florida, and Florida will definitely be a swing state in this election prediction for sure, which will probably give Al Gore PTSD flashbacks. But other than that, I think Al Gore would be pretty much a stronger candidate than Joe Biden. I think he's a little bit more mentally fit than him, which is a positive plus. He has his good reputation on advocating for the environment, which would get him a lot of liberal votes and progressive voters. And I think he would do pretty well with moderate voters as well, except with like coal regions, especially in West Virginia, Ohio, PA. I think he would struggle in those rural areas a lot, which will lead to an urban-rural divide again. It'll just even strengthen it even more, but that's always going to be there anyway. So let's get into this prediction. So first of all, into Ohio, it'll be barely likely. It'll be like a 9% to 8% victory for Donald Trump, holding steady there, just because I don't think Al Gore could peel best the rural areas here. In Iowa, I think he'll just get it barely beneath solid, so 9-point victory for Trump here. He'll still end up, he'll still end up losing the state, but Al Gore would do a bit better than Joe Biden here just because he doesn't have his atrocious approval rating here. In Texas, I also don't think he'll do the best here. He'll get it down to like 5.5%. He'll go down like to the left by 1%, but still won't go into the lean category where it's actually decently competitive. Let's head to Virginia, Colorado. I think he'll definitely win these states by over 10%. New Mexico as well. I think he'll definitely unite all the Democratic base here, probably even maybe improve on Joe Biden's margin or just hold it steady in all three of these states. Let's head to Nevada and Arizona. Nevada, I think Al Gore would pull out a pretty narrow victory, probably a 1.5 to 2% victory in this state. Arizona as well. Al Gore has to be careful about not aligning himself with like progressivism as much. You just got to make sure he gets most of his base out there and appeals to the moderate voters as well. As long as he does that, he'll probably defeat Trump in Arizona narrowly, just because a lot of Arizona independent voters don't like Trump, and we saw that in the 2020 election. Let's head to the next few states. Let's head to New Hampshire and Maine. I think you'd do pretty exceedingly well in both these areas. Just losing Maine second by a lean margin, I think would appeal to most of the Democratic base up here and hold them intact and maybe even improve on the margins in each of these states. In the Rust Belt, I think that's the area where he's not going to appeal the best, but I still think he'll get Nebraska second, win Maine by a narrow margin, but I think he would end up losing Wisconsin, honestly, just because I don't think he'd have the best populist appeals. He'll still carry Michigan as well by a narrow, lean margin, but let's head to Florida, which he'll end up losing again just because it's Trump's home state. Plus, Florida's is getting more and more Republican, so it's getting harder and harder for Democrats to win in this area. In Georgia, he is from the neighboring state of Tennessee, plus he'll have a bit of Southern appeal and a bit of a Sunbelt appeal, so I do think Al Gore would do pretty well in Georgia, honestly. I think he'd carry it by a 1.5 to 2% margin. And in North Carolina, he's the one type of Democrat that I actually think could flip this state into the Democratic column by a very, very narrow margin. That's just because he's from the South. He has a bit of a Southern appeal, and I think that would help him in North Carolina. And in Pennsylvania, I think he would also narrowly carry the state. However, there is a bit of a path of victory for Trump if it's Al Gore against him. He has to win Arizona, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, and he could easily win the election, so he still has an avenue of victory here. But I think Al Gore just threads the needle in all these tilt Democratic states just super well. So that's my election prediction. It was Al Gore versus Donald Trump. Let me know what you think of this in the comments below. Peace out.